2 years had passed since Joseph interpreted the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker. Then Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing beside the Nile River, and up out of the river came 7 attractive and fat cows, and they fed in the meadow. And after them, 7 ugly and thin cows came up out of the Nile and stood by the other cows on the edge of the river. Then the ugly and thin cows ate the 7 attractive and fat cows. At this point, Pharaoh woke up, and when he went back to sleep, he had a second dream. 7 full and ripe ears of grain grew out of a single stalk. After them, 7 ears, thin and blasted by the east wind, sprang up, and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 full, ripe ears. Then Pharaoh woke up and realized it had been a dream. In the morning, Pharaoh was so troubled that he called all the magicians and wise men of Egypt and told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh,
"Today I am reminded of my faults. When Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put the chief baker and me in the prison, both he and I had dreams. And there was a young man with us, a Hebrew, a servant of the captain of the guard. And we told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. And it came about just as he had interpreted. I was restored to my office, and the baker was hanged."
Then Pharaoh summoned Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the dungeon. When Joseph had shaved and changed his clothes, he came in to see Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said to him,
"I had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it."
It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer that will set his mind at peace.
So Pharaoh revealed his dream to Joseph.
In my dream, I stood at the edge of the river, and 7 cows came up out of the river and fed in the meadows. And after them, 7 ugly and thin cows, such as I have never seen before in all the land of Egypt. Then the ugly and thin cows ate the first 7 cows, but no one would have known they had eaten them because they were still as thin as before. Then I woke up, but I dreamt again and saw 7 full ripe ears of grain growing out of a single stalk. After them, 7 ears, thin and blasted by the east wind, sprang up, and the thin ears swallowed up the ripe ears. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me.
Then Joseph said to Pharaoh,
The dreams of Pharaoh are the same, and God has told Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows and the 7 good ears of grain are 7 years. Likewise, the 7 ugly and thin-looking cows are 7 years. Also, the 7 empty ears, blasted by the east wind, shall be 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will be 7 years of abundance throughout the whole land of Egypt. But afterward, there will come 7 years of famine, and Egypt will forget all the abundance. The famine will consume the land, and the abundance will not be known in the land because the famine that will follow will be very severe. Why was the dream doubled for Pharaoh? Because the matter has been established by God, and God will make it happen shortly. Therefore, Pharaoh should look for a man both discerning and wise, and put him in charge over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh should do this, and he should appoint supervisors over the land to take up a 20% tax on the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should gather all the food produced during these good years and set aside grain under the supervision of Pharaoh. This will be the food supply for the 7 years of famine that will come over the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish because of the famine.
Joseph's proposal seemed good to Pharaoh and to his officials. And Pharaoh said to his officials,
Can we find anyone else like him? A man in whom the Spirit of God lives.
So Pharaoh said to Joseph,
Since God has shown you all of this, and there is no one as discerning and wise as you will oversee my household. All my people will be ruled by what you command. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. I place you in charge of the whole land of Egypt.
Then Pharaoh took his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. He had him clothed in fine linen with a gold chain around his neck, and had him ride on the second-best chariot. They cried out before him, Bow the knee. Pharaoh set him over all the land of Egypt, and said to Joseph,
I am Pharaoh, and without your approval, no one shall raise his hand or his foot in all the land of Egypt.
And Pharaoh called Joseph by the name Zephanath-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, as his wife. Then Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt.
And Pharaoh said to his servants, Can we find a man like this in whom is the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Genesis chapter 41, verses 38 to 41.